Hello, welcome to Juhl Media. My name is Ching Juhl. This channel has been going on for almost 5 years. We have been chatting with filmmakers, musicians, entrepreneurs, politicians, activists, you name it. Today, my special guest is they are two very accomplished filmmakers. One is a director, Laurie Medonis, and also I know Tracy Cring from long time associated with the other filmmakers. So let's welcome to Annie and Tracy.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
Great.
doing great.
So tell us first. I usually ask my guests, where are you from? And right now, where are you, Annie?
I am currently in Connecticut. I am a digital nomad, so I do travel a lot, usually on the East Coast.
Awesome. And Tracy, where are you?
I am in Tuxedo Park, New York, about 45 minutes north of you right now.
That's great. So, tell us a little bit about both of you. You can start first, Annie. What brings you to become a filmmaker and director? And tell us a little bit of your background, please.
Yes, so I'm inspired by stories. When I was a kid, my dad had one of those big cameras that's archaic now, and I fell in love with it when he would film everything. So I started doing that, and I did a little bit of reporting in college, and I always found it fascinating to interview people, like get what's going on in their lives, and behind the scenes was part of my favorite aspect of it. Is I love to see how they made movies. I was so intrigued by that, and that really showed up inside of me as a filmmaker now with my style with cinema verite. It's that behind the scenes style, but also being with people and interviewing them at the same time.
Awesome. Yeah, I love interviewing people, picking people's brain. Yeah, Tracy, you have been an editor for a long time. You have your credits is amazing. You edited more than 40 films. So tell us a little bit about like, were you just editor or you also do so many different things like filming or directing, or tell us a little bit about how you became an editor.
Well, it was cheaper if I did it myself, honestly. And that's probably why I have diverse credits, because I started as a very, very guerrilla filmmaker, just doing things because I thought I could. So I don't really have any formal training. It's all self-taught. And sometimes, the school of hard knocks, just learning by messing it all up. And honestly, I'm very thankful for that, because I can confidently go into any situation and know you got this because you've seen everything.
Yeah. So now, that documentary filmmaker, film editor, they say is like a there's no movie until you editing the film, right? A lot of time the movie is made during the editing. So tell us a little bit about that experience and how you coping with it and doing it.
Well, I know with your Yang Gang documentary, which I absolutely love, you were probably dealing with lots of footage, hundreds of hours. You seem to document that extraordinarily well. And I would say that's what I love. And that's one of the things that was amazing working with Laurie. Even though I came in late in the process, she catches everything. So we just had such selection, and we had so many stories told so many different ways, but the same ones. So we got to pick and choose which one we liked the best and the location we liked it the best in. And, it can be intimidating. Our first cut was over 10 hours. You don't want to kill anything. You don't want to lose anything. And then you have to start getting tougher and tougher and tougher on yourself and on the film until you finally whipped it into shape. And we had a lot of feedback from our amazing team. Everybody was a part of the process, and like, hey, that's boring, or hey, we already said that, or, the process was super, super collaborative.
You have to be ruthless, right, when you cut.
Mhm.
Because every minute.
Kill the darlings.
Every minute is your baby, right? You like it. So yeah, Annie. So tell us a little bit about your film. I saw the film. I met the two extraordinary ladies, and the film's called A Culinary Uprising: The Story of Bloodroot. So tell us a little bit about how this whole thing you get involved, and what does the title even mean? It's so long.
It's
Okay, tell us.
Yeah, so well, I'll kind of start with the origin story as like how it started. Back in 2017, I was with my roommate Zach at the time, and he said, "I want to take you to this really cool restaurant." So we were on our way to Philadelphia for vacation, and I said, "I'm down. Let's check it out." So sure enough, he took me to Bloodroot. I walked through the front door, and I fell in love with it immediately. And I told him, "It was like, why haven't you why did it take you so long to bring up this amazing place? I love it." And it was the warmth, the atmosphere, the pictures on the walls, the paintings, the women who work there, everything a part of it just had me experience as if I was in a women's museum or in my grandma's house. I had the experience of both at the same time. And then the food was a whole nother conversation because it tasted so good. And I had the Jamaican jerk. And, fast forward a few years, I was in Montreal, and my friend Dr. Alex Ketchum, who's in the documentary, she had looked at me and she said, "Why don't you make a documentary about Bloodroot?" And I said, "There's already one." She said, "So what? Yours will be different." And in that moment, I got, yeah, you're right. It will be different. And then fast forward a couple years later, or it might have been even a year, it was COVID 2020. And I started to realize that Selma was getting older, and we don't know how much longer she'd be around. So I decided to jump on it. Just didn't want to wait any longer. So started filming in December of 2020.
So how do you approach them? Are they very welcoming your idea, or are they reluctantly to show their thing?
I I had met them a couple of times, and I had brought up that conversation, and
Oh, sorry,
they were
sorry, sorry to interrupt. Can you just explain quickly to our audience, like who they are?
Oh, yes, thank you for that. So Selma Miriam, she's the one that started Bloodroot, and then Noel Fury is currently both. Well, Selma passed, so I just want to give that a context. However, both of them had owned it for 48 years, and Selma is a brilliant woman. So Bloodroot owners. All right, was there anything else you wanted me to add on about that,
Yeah,
or
yeah. Bloodroot is the restaurant name, right? Why
yes?
is Bloodroot, Tracy?
What is Bloodroot? Oh gosh, you know what? Annie asks Selma why did she call the restaurant Bloodroot. She asked her so many times, and every time it would be a different answer. And every time we interviewed someone, they would give a different answer that Selma
Yeah.
said. So there's really no definitive other than she liked it. And my favorite explanation was that Bloodroot, the sanguinaria plant, is the only one that has no derivatives off of it. It's a singular original product, a flower, a root that flowers. And it has a very female context, in herbal medicine and things like that. So that was my favorite one.
Oh, so it's not a made-up word.
No, bloodroot is a thing.
Yeah, plant. And,
That's cute.
and what I loved about it too is I had this, or Selma said something about being repulsive, where it's like blood root, menstrual blood. That there's a joke about it, which you'll see in the documentary, and we've seen it already.
Yeah, yeah.
One of my
So
favorites.
yeah, so we were saying when you approach them and they're good, they're cooperating, or they're looking forward for you to shoot them, and are they
They
annoyed?
they were curious, and they asked me a couple questions, and then they just said, okay, like, well, we'll see, right? And part of that was like, they were open to it. They saw me show up. I would start to film them and ask them questions. Noel has mentioned a few times that she didn't realize that I was actually going to do it, like be serious about it. Like it took a little bit, and then she got, oh wow, like Annie Laurie's actually showing up and shooting this. And after the first couple of interviews, it started to be a different conversation. They got more comfortable with me. They started to say my name and asking me, hey, what do you think of this? Even opinions on food, or, hey, we want to show you this. And I became a part of Bloodroot.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not just a journalist or filmmaker. You're one of them, and then you get more access to the stuff you're not even expecting, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Shall we play the trailer?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Sure.
So let's see. Share screen. It's the trailer. Okay, here we go. I'll make it bigger.
There are some people who own restaurants, and their fun thing to do is to open other restaurants. I'm not interested in that. Hello, Bloodroot. I wanted to have a place where women would come and connect and read books and do whatever they wanted to do, but just to have a place where women could meet each other.
Bloodroot is a vehicle to talk about women's issues and food issues, veganism, and what that means.
You get a lot more from a meal at Bloodroot than food.
A restaurant existing for 40 to 50 years, that's pretty darn rare.
What is it about this place that has kept it going and has so many people buzzing about it?
They're hardcore and intense and like brilliant.
I refer to Selma and Nichole as Selma and Louise. They're just two badasses.
They're like an old married couple that's a couple.
We need each other. I mean, I cannot do what she does, and she can't do what I do.
You're just making like the lives of my daughters like so much better.
Selma said it's not that we wanted a piece of the pie, we wanted a whole new recipe altogether.
We were not interested in equality ever. We were radical.
Vegetarianism is political. It's not about health. It's about being better for the world. And that's a very important part of what we're doing.
So what's the secret? How have you survived so long?
Desperation. I'm not kidding. I figure when I can't do that anymore, I'm going to retire.
Yeah. I know it's not going to be here forever.
I don't want it to go away, ever. I mean, I'll go away, I guess.
There's nobody who's crazy enough to do this.
Our best friends, our family, our community are the people who come here. And I like them, even the ones who are troublesome sometimes.
These two right here. Thank you.
Wow, got a lot of awards. Okay, so yeah, so tell us a little bit about the film was born in 2019, right? Or tell us a little bit.
Well, I started filming it in 2020.
2020. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, and then really heavily shooting in 2021, 2022, 2023.
So it's just you got so many awards. Like you have attended lots and lots of festivals.
Yes, and Tracy, we get these emails constantly about another notification. It's pretty funny. So we've gotten into 11 film festivals, Tracy, or it might be 12 now at this point.
I don't have a list. I know we entered 88 film festivals. Whoa. And our team worked very hard, like really matching up the festival with, what we're out to create in the world. And you take a lot of swings and then that leads to a lot of hits.
Yeah. And we have 23 laurels currently on one of our film posters that we've received, and that's 4 awards. We've received Audience Choice Awards at 3 different film festivals, and then another award as well. So
technically, when you start to shoot, Annie, did you just go by yourself, or you have 3 cameras at the same time shooting, or just the one?
When I went by myself, I usually had one, and that's part of my style too. Is I use my iPhone and I use Filmic Pro app. So I can do all the camera settings in it, specifically ISO and aperture. I mean, all that is right in the app itself. And sometimes I would have 2 iPhones set up. It really depended on if I was doing an interview, a sit-down interview. Most of the time when I was doing B-roll, though, being with them, it was my camera rig with with my one iPhone. So
That's wonderful. And did you use Filmic Pro or any
yep,
other?
Filmic Pro.
So how do you deal with the audio?
Audio, I use the Zoom recorder actually. So I have a H6, and I would have it around my neck, or I also came up with, in my many adventures of things breaking down and what do I do to resolve it, I had a gardening belt where I would put the Zoom recorder in it. That was one of my inventions there. And then I'd have the wireless lav sometimes mic'd on myself when I'd ask questions. And I had it so that everything I needed was on my body. And I have pockets in my pants, batteries, whatever I needed, my ND filters, I could just pull out at any moment when I needed it.
Wow, that's very impressive. And all the audio and video you have to sync again later. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And part of it was, yeah.
Oh my God.
Lots of days.
Yes. Tracy's very much a lot of work on that. She did a great job.
How do you two met?
Wow.
How did you meet?
Well, Annie Laurie had posted specifically looking for women to come on board on the team, and they were putting together at that time their crowdfunding campaign video. And I saw it, but it was late. I figured they'd already found somebody. And I still replied. I sent her my info, and she was like, well, hey, let's jump on a call. And on the call, we pretty quickly, well, not quickly because it was an hour-long conversation, but we decided this is what's supposed to be happening, the two of us collaborating.
Wow, that's wonderful. So so the film is not only about the food, it's about women's movement, it's about same-sex people get married, and also the family situation, right? Both got divorced to their husband, then they get married with themselves. So it's a fascinating story. And so what are you hoping for this film to have? What kind of impact when you make this film?
Well, I really wanted people to get an idea of who these women are, Selma and Nichole, to get an insight as to what they've created inside of Bloodroot and the magic of it, and for people to be inspired to create something in their own lives. So creating something that excites them, being part of a community group, and the importance of community is essential. And there's something very special about what Selma and Nichole have created, bringing people together and kind of this revolving door where people come and go, yet when they leave, they take so much with them and their experience, and they come back. And I guess you could say it's sort of this feedback loop or a genius cluster. People come, they have ideas, they're excited, energetic, they go out and they create it, and they come back and they bring it and they share, oh my gosh, I made XYZ. And traveling all across the world, I've met so many people that have actually already known about Bloodroot, which goes to tell you how much they've actually connected with people.
So they also have a cookbook, right? For their cooking. And are they two very good businesswomen?
Well, they probably would have a
what would they say?
That they would say something. It depends on who you ask or in what context. I will share something at least from what they said in the documentary, which was they, in a lot of ways, they didn't make Bloodroot work. In some ways they did. And in some ways they didn't, is the financial aspect of it. They do sell the cookbooks, which does support them in a lot of ways financially. But I mean, they would probably say that oftentimes they break even. And so, however, again, what are the standards of business? The fact that they've been around for 48 years and they've left this legacy is being a good business owner based on monetary, or the fact that their legacy has continued to live on. So it's really based on people's listening.
Wonderful. So Tracy, how when you get on the board with this project, and what strike you the most that you like, I'm in,
Uh, I got the hard drive from Laurie, and I realized how well she had actually documented everything. And as I was syncing lots of footage, I was watching the women, and I just, I absolutely loved them. Selma is, you never know what she's going to say. It's going to be insightful. Noel's very reflective. They were a lot of their stories too. I just really sense the need for us to hear from women this age. So many of the things that they talk about in the film, I was like, oh my gosh, women my age, younger, their age, we all need to hear this common experience and what they have dealt with, so that, we can look at our own lives and say, well, I don't know, I'm going to be a little more like Selma today. I'm going to say it.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Now, should we talk about something different note in the current filmmaking world? And can you feed us, audience, a little bit what's going on in terms of documentary making and also, the feature filmmaking? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, right now, I just feel like back when I started making film, it was like Quentin Tarantino had come out, and then you had like Kevin Smith come out with Clerks, and there was this feeling in my age group that like filmmaking could be a thing we chose to do with our life. It was like people weren't really like, hey, let's go be, astronauts and ballerinas. It was more like, hey, maybe we should be making films. And I feel that same energy coming back now, in light of strikes, in light of streaming and Netflix and Amazon issues and negotiations, and how are people making money, and how are actors and writers getting what's fair. And it's opening up a big chasm where I feel like indie can come back out. We can really come out and take over because we're fast. We, are agile. We don't have to work in that same construct. We can build something of our own that works for us, that speaks to our people. And, this film definitely has found its people, and they are diehards.
Well said. Well said. What do you say, Annie?
Yeah, I mean, diehards, that is a very good word to say, Tracy, that people keep coming back to Bloodroot, and the number of people that have watched this film and have said they were inspired. I met a woman in New Mexico who said she was so inspired by the documentary that she had applied for her nursing program a few days later, and that was it. And there was another woman who she had a perspective where she wanted her daughter to have kids, and her daughter didn't want to have kids. And she was actually the moderator at one of the film festivals I was at. And she said that film made such a big difference for her that after watching it, she realized that her daughter can be exactly who she wants to be, and it's okay. And so for her to make that move, when I shared it with Nichole, she was so inspired and like, wow, like that's amazing. So to be able to tell their story where people are inspired or something shows up for them, that is a really big part of what we're creating here. We want people to experience something and to be able to communicate it and spark dialogue in different communities.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I was curious, when you were shooting, how long the whole shooting went on? Are we talking about a year or more than?
4 years.
4 years.
That's hundreds of hours of footage. There's a reason why it started off being 10 hours, what Tracy was talking about. It was a lot of time. And, a lot of that was intentional in terms of really getting to know who they are by spending time with them. That isn't something you can know someone in a couple days. It took several times for me to go back. And also the other part of it was that I loved hanging out with them so much. Like I was gaining knowledge and experience in my own life and looking for them because I was curious and having questions. And, you know, it was very transformational for me to be in their presence.
And once you had your first rough cut, did you show to them, and what was their reaction?
It wasn't the first rough cut. I was Tracy, you might remember this.
Maybe
it might have been more the 4-hour version.
Maybe the 4, yeah. 4 hours.
It's probably the 4-hour version to Nichole. And specifically, you know, that's not necessarily a common thing in the film world to be sharing that with the talent. However, our relationship had evolved so much, and it was important for us to capture who they are in the world, and where they got the experience like, wow, that's us. And mostly it was, you know, me sharing with Nichole and asking if there's anything particularly in there that they weren't okay with. And it was great. The feedback process was actually pretty easy. And also to be able to have a collaborator, we would ask her questions, you know, who's in that photo? Do you have pictures of, you know, something in the past and history from this day? And that was a really important part of what showed up on screen was our relationship.
What do you have anything to add on, Tracy?
I'm just so thankful about the course of time that Annie took, because, you know, we see them in 2020, you know, you're dealing with COVID very heavily at that point, and everyone was struggling. But a place like Bloodroot, you know, they're kind of off on this little bay in Connecticut. You know, I'm sure they were having their struggles. I know people who loved them were doing fundraisers for them. And then everybody's taken masks off, and we're getting back to normal, and people are coming back. And just also seeing the slight difference in age, you know, of like things would change energetically, things would change through time. And it's just a blessing to be able to have that much time to really develop them. And it was always so important to me to edit them in a way that felt like we were having the conversation with them. Like that was my goal, was I wanted to feel like I was 16 years old sitting in front of my grandma, and she was telling me everything I was going to need to know. Like, this is how you live your life, kid. And that was always like what I wanted people to be able to connect to.
Interesting. I feel that way when I watch it, because they do talk to the camera, right? Talk to the person who's holding the camera. So there is a very interesting, engaging. It's very engaging. There's a dialogue going on, not just sort of let them do their own thing, right? And so since the film in the public, is the restaurant very, very busier than before?
Oh yeah. Nichole has told me that and expressed that to me. It's both amazing and also sometimes challenging for her, as more people show up and she doesn't necessarily have the energy. However, you know, she's very grateful that we've brought business to her. You know, there on Wednesday nights, it wasn't that busy before, and now Wednesday nights are busy. And she's shared with me that there was one particular night of 20 people there that were from the Connecticut Film Festival. And it was 20 people around the table, and thought, wow, that's amazing, right? People heard about the film, they showed up, they came, people ask, hey, how do I see this film? Yeah, people keep asking.
So Tracy, tell us, where exactly is this restaurant at?
It's in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and it is like really off the beaten path. But oh my gosh, when you get there, it's just on the water. It's beautiful. They actually had to fight, you know, the city to stay there and to maintain that it wouldn't be torn down in order to put a road in, you know. And every year I have family come in. All the women in my family come in, and we just spend like 3 or 4 days together and just connect. And going to Bloodroot is like that's happening. That is a ritual that we do. And the first time we all went there, it was hysterical because I'd never been there, but I'd been working on the film for months and months. And we walk in and we're looking around and we sit down and like we start talking and like we're just all in tears. We're all in tears and we're just like, I don't even know, why are we crying? And we're just like, I don't know. It's just so emotional. There's the wall of pictures of women from every age and every era, from when photography began to modern day. And you feel embraced by them. And it feels like you're at a museum that was for women. And there's just not that many spaces that are so celebratory of being a woman.
I love these photos. Yeah, I love these. And then they did such a great job. They all look like different sizes and they combine them in a way. Looks very authentic, very antique-y. Yeah. And yeah, like you said, like a museum. Yeah. So now, are you in the, like, if say people want to say where the film, if they can see, where can people see the film right now?
Well, currently, if they subscribe to our newsletter, we'll send them emails of updates of where it's playing at film festivals and local screenings that we have. And also, we are in conversation regarding having virtual screenings. So if they subscribe to our newsletter, they'll get those updates on the virtual screenings as well.
So you can, audience, you can, we have a scrolling email going on right now on screen. Yeah, bloodrootdoc@gmail.com. So you can write to Annie and Tracy. Yeah. So now, did you consider having the film being on streaming platform?
And yeah, we have. And specifically, is there like, are you talking about Netflix or one of the major media?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are definitely in conversation around that. We've talked with distributors. We basically put that on pause because we got so many emails from people wanting to see it. And we thought that having a conversation around it where we get to see people watch it and then them give us feedback and hear the difference it's made in their lives, that opportunity to be with them and be inspired is a gift. We wouldn't necessarily have that if people were just streaming it online, wouldn't necessarily know what people felt about it. However, being able to go on tour, to go to have these screenings, it's opened up conversations. Also have made friends. I've made a lot of friends from going to screenings, which is awesome. So,
do you have any announcement for near future screening so people can go?
We do.
Yeah, I've got a little list here. There's the Women's Film Festival is September 24th. That's in Philadelphia, if you're in the area. Out on Film Festival is going to be in Atlanta, Georgia, October 1st. Santa Cruz Film Festival is October 11th, along with the San Fran Queer Festival quarterly screenings on October 11th.
Wow.
That's in California. Santa Cruz, San Fran.
Yeah, we're going to put that in the description below, yeah, when we finish this. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, check it out. So any, now that is kind of your project is born, the baby is born, right? And you need to nurture it and you need people to see it. And then the role can go on for a while. In the meantime, what is your next project, Annie and Tracy?
The next project is I have a few that I've been in conversation around. One of them is a mini series specifically regarding like holistic health, and that is like homeopathy, which really was inspired by being a part of this documentary, and essential oils. That's just to give you an idea of how much of an impact Bloodroot has had in my life and inspired, is that now I'm actually curious about delving into this holistic life. So that's it's in the beginning stages of it.
Are you vegan? Annie and Tracy?
I am a pescatarian, and a lot of times I eat vegan foods, and I'm not vegan.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not. I have been, different things. I went all the way down to like rice one time, just like trying to figure out like what foods my body likes and which ones it doesn't. And so I've been everything, but I'm just, I'm just Tracy, and I eat what, makes me feel good now.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. Yeah. So Annie, is this your first feature documentary as a director? Or
No,
you
I have
done-
had, yeah, I've had another one as well, and on an elementary school.
It's great. That's great. So where did you get training? Did you go to a film school and learning all these photographies techniques or what?
I went to college for broadcasting,
I
and
see.
that being into reporting and interviewing is a big part of what got me into the documentary style, I would say. So in the reporting world, I was doing that, and then I worked at a public access station, filmed different segments, and continued interviewing people.
That's wonderful. People who love to interview people or how to interview people, I think sometimes it's intuitive and coming from your blood, right? It's difficult
Yeah.
to train someone if they don't really want to even talk to strangers, right? So it's a
Yeah,
special
it's
quality.
true.
Yeah. So you need to come from a very curious attitude, right? And you have to love people and finding out other people's thoughts and pick their brains. So so Tracy, you have done so many films, long, short. I know one project we cross what do you call cross paths to each other? The Shanghai Quartet.
Yes.
That project, yeah. So
Yes.
would you like to tell a little bit about roughly that project? Because I'm very close to that project because these people, they're my people.
Yes. Well, that's the beautiful thing about being in documentary film as an editor. I get to learn about all kinds of things, things that I did not listen to quartet music. I kind of thought they were stringed instruments. That's about it. And through I'm very well educated now, and that was the documentary follows the lives and the touring schedule of the Shanghai Quartet and its members. And they were compelling. They were funny. They, were like traveling hard and tired sometimes. They had families they had to be away from in order to make their careers happen. And, I just really appreciated they were hustling, they are very well known and highly respected, and doesn't matter any level you're at, you still have to get out there and hustle and promote yourself and continue to just pursue.
So you must had a lot of dosage of string quartet music during that editing.
And they are amazing at what they do. They really are. And their music selections are very interesting. I fell in love with Tan Dun on that film and his work and compositions, which are very Wu Man, so many amazing, talented people that I got familiar with through that editing journey. And that was a several-year process,
Yeah, no, for a while.
Mhm.
You didn't go to China, right? You worked in.
No, I did not.
Yeah. I love that group. These brothers, they're my schoolmate. We went to same college, music school together. Yeah.
Weigang and Honggang. Yes.
Yes. Weigang and Honggang, and Weigang is in my class. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The older brother. Yeah. Very talented. I love their playings. So, yeah, and
you are too. I'm sure people who watch your channel might be familiar with your amazing musicianship.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I need to practice more. So now, Do you have multiple work, Tracy? People ask you to edit. Like, how do you deal with that?
Well, I used to get really, really overwhelmed, honestly, because as a freelancer, you kind of always have to be looking for the next job. And you may not be done with the last job and you're still taking on new stuff. And that used to be very overwhelming for me, but I found a rhythm. I actually really enjoy bouncing from project to project because just whenever I start to get kind of sleepy watching the same thing, editing the same thing, I can bounce over to something else. I can bounce over to something else. So I try to embrace the diversity and also just give myself an opportunity. Sometimes, I'll take edits that it's not about the pay. It's about, I really believe in this person. I really believe in the thing they're creating, and I also work on a whole range of scales, from NYU students to Pulitzer Prize winners. It's anything. And I love the adversity at times and the diversity.
Beautiful. So Annie, if someone want to be a director, film director, who is a young 24-year-old wanting to be director, what is your advice?
Well, I guess I would ask, what is it they like? That's probably my first question. Like, what are they interested in? So that's number one. My advice is for them to find something that they're interested in and come from that place. So whether they're making it a feature film that's a narrative film, then having it be based on a script that they're intrigued in. And if it is documentary filmmaking, a subject that they're curious about. Definitely number one. You don't spend hundreds of hours on that if it's something you don't actually enjoy. It doesn't work.
So in terms of budget, like how did you deal with the budget for the I can't say this word.
Culinary.
So how did you deal with the budget? Are you already budgeted it, like calculated everything, or you just jumped in and just deal with it along the way?
When I started it, the second approach, I just jumped in. Again, got Selma's age, and I was just like, you know what? There's no time here. I'm not going to wait until there's funding to start shooting this. I just started to shoot it. And then that came with passion where I was like, wait, this is the story I want to capture. And I had some friends who came and supported me and shot with me for a few days where there still wasn't any funding. They were doing that as they believed in the project. And then we had additional teammates as well who saw something for themselves and inspired them. And then we did a crowdfunding campaign where we raised over $12,000. And that was for the post-production phase so that we could pay for the editor, Tracy, and also post sound and the color correcting and all of that, all of that process. Yep.
For 12,000, that's a good deal. It could cost you much more. Yeah.
Yep. But I want to also, and this goes back into the advice for as a filmmaker and a director, and combined with the crowdfunding, is the Bloodroot community is so strong that us reaching out to them and asking them to raise money was a very different process than something else where we had no relation to. So because it was so strong, it's like and a lot of people that I met at the restaurant, I called them up on the phone and I was like, hey, will you donate $50, $100, whatever to this film? And it's like, there are people that I actually met in person, face to face, or people who, again, hear the name Bloodroot. I mean, I had somebody at the restaurant that just was like, wait, you're looking for money? Here's $100. Just give me cash, and because it's for Bloodroot. And it's so enrolling in itself that people saw it, and that's important to be part of a niche when you're filmmaking, especially as a documentary filmmaker. Like, is there a community around it? When you look at the funding, is it such a small niche where this is going to be challenging? Is it something that spreads out, like that's intimate though, where people are like diehard fans?
What do you say, Tracy?
Well, I actually have been talking about this a lot recently. I like to mentor women into the industry. And we talk about things that we can do. And a lot of times I think people get bogged down in the details of things they can't do. Like, well, I don't have the camera. Well, I don't have the crew. Well, I don't have the money. Well, I don't. And those are things maybe that you can't do right now, but there's always something you can do. And that may be sitting down and reading the script. That may sitting down, email the script to someone, ask for feedback, do a table read, just go out and meet some actors, like you have to create an energy around it. I think that's one of the great things about crowdfunding. It creates energy. You really are, if you imagine it as a baby, you have to give it fuel. It needs calories, and calories are energy, and that may be you feeding it for a while, just like Annie. She fed her fuel into this project for a while, and then people start looking and people start noticing, and they want on board. And then, recently I was on my set and I looked around, there's like 80 people standing around me. And I'm like, most of the time I was like sipping coffee at breakfast and talking about this idea. And now there's 80 people surrounding me and trucks and lights everywhere, but that's the process. Just focus on the things you can do. And there's always something you can do.
Thank you. Beautiful. Beautiful. And Julie, in our audience, thank you for being here. We have several people. Mark is here. Thank you. Louis is here. Thank you so much. And thank you, people who are listening right now, not writing the notes. We also have people on Facebook who are watching this live channel. And after this is end, which is pretty soon, and you can just go back and send this link to your fans and friends, because it's called replay. Okay. Now, I was gonna ask. Oh, Julie says, can the public host a screening, and how?
Yes,
we welcome that.
Yes, there is. Again, if you email us, say you're interested in hosting a screening or attending a screening, we will give you that information. There's a Google form that the person can fill out and go over next steps. Thank you for asking, Julie.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Now, so we're almost end this program. Now, tell me anything we haven't touched yet, Tracy. You wanted to add on any topic related to filmmaking or otherwise?
Well, one thing I would love to encourage people to do is please go to Bloodroot. I mean, get it from the source, and it's going to like enrich your viewing experience. If you're anywhere near there, go there. It's incredible. And I think this film gives people a good stand-in, like if you can't go and you've never heard of it, it's a really good representation of them. And I think, I don't know, I don't want to cry, but Selma was at our premiere, our opening in November. And then it was not many months later that she passed. But, whenever you work on documentaries and your subjects are, your talent is older, you're always like, oh gosh, I hope that they can see this. And I hope that they can see people appreciating them, and it was super moving to be there and see 2 standing ovations for these women and know that she got to see her life and got to see herself well represented.
Beautiful. How old was she when she passed?
Almost 90.
Wow.
Still going to up until the end, really going to the restaurant every night, right, Annie?
Wow.
Yeah.
She's really ass-kicking woman,
She is.
Yeah. So Annie, anything you want to add on?
There's something I want to add, and really appreciate Tracy on this, is that it's really important to have an editor-director dynamic where both people communicate and they're on the same page. And so I really want to point out that this creation was from from us. And like, yeah, I had this idea as I was inspired. And like, people like to say that Bloodroot is our house, not my house. It's our place. So what Tracy saw and my vision and what I was sharing, like, she had a lot of freedom and control, liberty to create and share what it is that she saw too. So the way that it came out, it's like we both were on the same page. She understood it. And that's the part that was so beautiful, is she understood it. Like, I didn't, and we would go back and forth on ideas. So that's something I really want to emphasize, especially for people who are directors and filmmakers, that it's really important to have that collaboration. And totally second what Tracy said, go to Bloodroot, experience it firsthand, watch the documentary, eat the food, and then watch the documentary. You get to have an experience of the history of it, walk and see the pictures on the walls, paintings, talk to Nichole, talk with the women. It really is an experience, and for sure my favorite place in the world. And I'll be going there tomorrow, which I'm really excited about. Gotta have my Bloodroot fix.
Jealous.
Wonderful.
Yeah, right?
Wonderful. And you think of the community, the community, the town, how their reaction? Were they very welcoming?
Oh yeah, people have shown up. They've asked questions. They continue to eat the food. Being at the screenings, people ask questions. I mean, it's every time I go to Bloodroot, people come up to me and are like, "Oh my gosh, how do we watch the film?" So yeah, it's exciting.
I kind of feel like a star when I walk in there because we made the movie. They'll be like, ah!
That's wonderful.
I know. I feel like a celebrity. I'm like, oh my gosh, it is pretty
right? So let's mention also, I went with Nora Armani, who is the socially relevant film festival director and founder, and she asked me to go to this event where is a 48th 40th anniversary. Yeah, I didn't even know, Tracy, you're the editor for the film. I didn't even know the film. I just went along. So I'm so glad. And your film was shown at the Nora's Festival, right?
At Socially Relevant, yeah, it premiered there. At Cinema Village. Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love the Socially Relevant Film Festival. Nora puts on an amazing show. And I got to tell you, the most impressive thing about that woman, she runs that thing. Like, she's in communication. She's got you organized. Like, I work with a lot of film festivals, and they could learn a lot from Nora. And she's also so supportive of us all, especially female filmmakers. I mean, she just was finishing up that festival, and it's like, hey, Nora, come to Connecticut. And she's like, yes. And I'm bringing Ching with me.
Yeah, that was great. It was eye-opening for me. I had no expectations of what I was getting into. Yeah, so wonderful. So I think in large, right, in life, sometimes we just do it. We just jump into, right, the situation. You never know what the outcome is. I always have a saying, say that one thing leads to something else. Mm-hmm. So if you do that one thing, right?
Yep, just do the thing.
Yeah, will lead to something else. So I'll make a short announcement. Is people, you can see Tracy's biography and all the information, all the social media handles in the description below. And I'm Ching Juhl, and check my film, My Young Gun Diary, which is also in the description. And if you like our conversation, please subscribe to this channel. And I have been doing this for almost 5 years now, and I've been talking to more than 300 guests on this program. So wonderful to have you. And I always feel very comfortable talking with filmmakers.
Absolutely. Well, you're an amazing filmmaker. And also, you have taught class, at Socially Relevant about iPhone filmmaking. And you're very much this is what I want to do, this is what I'm going to do kind of person, and I love that about you, and highly recommend everyone watch the Yang Gang documentary. It was amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, ladies, so great to see you. And I will, watch it again. I watched it once and I watched the film again. And everybody pay attention to the film and go check it out. Yeah. So until then, I would love to see more of your films. Okay.
You will.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being
Thank
with us.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna end this. Okay, thank you, audience, for being with us. And good night, and good afternoon, and good morning. Bye now. I'm trying to push the button.